Welcome to the Spiritual Download. This is a channel for advanced human development. Today we're talking about the difference between becoming somebody in our society and becoming nobody. So my question to you is, which would you prefer? Would you rather become a big somebody in our society, like a physician or a president or something like that? Or would you rather become a nobody, where actually your self is quite unknown to a wide spread of people, so that actually your life becomes much more personal and quiet and kind of in tune with everything else? So obviously I'm biased because the push to become nobody is actually how you become happy. Because when you want to become a somebody, actually you're constantly seeking for something that you'll never actually get. So when you're seeking, the goal will always be pushed further and further ahead, so that instead of, like, if you're a runner, you want to be good at running 1 mile, then you want to run 2 miles, and then 5 miles, 10 miles, 50 miles. So you're never really content with how far you can run. I'm not saying that's bad, but actually it's that constant pushing and constant seeking for something more. You're saying that actually right now I'm not good enough. Right now I'm not good enough. But actually when you become, or when you have the desire to become a nobody, which is a paradox, but when you become a nobody, happiness is your lifestyle. Because you're not doing the seeking, because you realize that you are enough, exactly how you are right now. Because the universe, or God, has made you, or this creation is made by something perfect. Perfection itself, actually. So it's divine intelligence that has created all of these trees and animals that you can see behind me here. So a forest, as when you walk into a forest, you know that it's perfect. Nature itself is perfect. But why is it that human beings don't feel perfect? It's because we're constantly seeking for something else. So when you become a nobody, then you are in tune with nature, because you don't have the desires that most people have. So actually it's decreasing the strength of your desires, that's when you go inside of yourself and you see that the way I am right now is enough. It's actually more than enough, because you can see that you, by diving into yourself right now, how you are, it's God itself, it's the universe itself, it's perfection itself. So there's two parts of you. It's the imperfect human side of you that we all kind of identify with. Most people almost completely identify with their imperfect self, rather than not having a desire to be somebody, and you kind of are a nobody, having a lack of ego, because you realize that when you have a lack of ego, you actually abide, or you sit from your perfect soul, or your perfect self, rather than the imperfect self. So actually your natural state of being is content, happiness, consciousness, God, bliss, and nature. So these are the things that we can live from when we finally have a lack of desire to become an ego, or having a big ego by becoming a somebody. So a lot of times, maybe if you want to become famous, for example, that will actually, of course, get in your way of becoming happy, because you're going to want more and more fame. And money is the big thing. So everyone wants a little bit more money than they currently have. But what I'm saying is, the amount of money that you have right now is meant to be, or it's perfect, or the amount of money you have right now, you can be infinitely happy by having this much money. And that it's actually exactly the way that it's supposed to be, because of all of this perfection that's around us. And since there is all of this perfection, you realize that there's no separation between myself and everything else, because how I am is because of everything else. Like, I'm not an island and everything else is outside of this island. No, we're all inextricably linked between each other and nature. And that is why that there's no need to seek further, because all of this is inherent perfection. So the seeking, again, will make you feel like you're just not enough. And exactly the way that you are right now is enough. Okay? So if you want more of this in your life, more contentedness, you need to really see that there's now a different direction to head towards. You've been heading in this direction towards becoming a somebody, becoming a physician, or becoming a rock star. It's actually the opposite. So what would it look like to become a nobody, right? It'd be kind of maybe just have a small apartment. You would have a few friends. You would maybe hike the same trail every morning. You'd be very close to maybe your dog or your cat, and you'd have a few close relationships with other people. And you'd just be really, really content moment by moment in your day. And you know that it's actually the moments, moment by moment, is what happiness actually is. When you see that happiness comes from slowing down. It doesn't come from speeding up towards that next goal. So yes, you need a few goals in life, but actually those goals should be to become less of an ego rather than more of an ego. And that's exactly what it would look like if you were as happy as possible, is when you're unattached to all of these egoic ideas, or so things and ideas that we're attached to, like a big house, security, money, a job. And these are all things that most people are really, really attached to, is their job, the money that they need. These are all things that we actually ultimately aren't ours, because what we are is this subtle beauty moment by moment. So when you see beauty in the moment, right now, right here, that's actually what you are. You aren't this seeking machine that your thoughts. The big distraction is the thoughts in your mind, because we've been convinced that we are these thoughts. These thoughts want to convince us that we want to become somebody, that that's where happiness is, because society teaches us that that's where the happiness is in the seeking, or in what we are seeking. And that's why we have these thoughts, is because these thoughts have been are actually the product of our society. So your thoughts are actually not you; they are the product of your environment that you grew up in. So we need to start seeing that our thoughts are actually more about entertainment rather than what's actually true. What's actually true is what you can see here and now. What is here and now is what is true and what is real. And you can clearly see that when you're living in the right now, the right here, that it's inherently perfect. That when your thoughts want you to go in the future or in the past, that is when we become unhappy. That is when we start to stress. And that's when we have this desire to become somebody in the future, because we believe that when we become somebody, we'll have more safety and more freedom. But the freedom and the safety is actually by dwelling right here, right now, as nobody, not as planning towards the future. When you're dwelling not right here, right now, not as an ego, not as even a person. It is literally the conscious moment, right here, right now, like a flower, right? A flower doesn't have a desire to be anything else. These trees behind me just want to be themselves. They don't have this weird human desire to become somebody in the future that you aren't right now. Because these trees realize that what they are right now is divinity, or it's inherent creation from something that's greater. So all of us have been created by something or a non-something that's greater, that you can call God, nature, or the universe. And that's where our perfection or our beauty lies, right here, right now, without thinking too hard about it. So if you have questions, you can comment below. If you like the video, click that like button. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.